So I'm at a state now where my body is not healthy. But I also realize I need to face a lot of these self-consciousness issues. And perhaps this is what this birthing process is also all about, or this pregnancy. So, I could have all sorts of self-consciousness issues come up, particularly in regard to starting to film myself. I mean, I could look at my eyes, and I mean, these wrinkles, they were never there until I started losing a ton of weight really quickly. You know, I often have headaches and I'll have these bags under my eyes. Fortunately, my eyes are not really dark right now because I don't really have a headache. Surprisingly, like one of the few days I'm not having just this headache going on. So, I could be really self-conscious. Could look at my lips, look at my teeth. I could look at myself in so many ways and say why I don't match up to society's image or promulgation of what the perfect woman should look like, of what beauty is, knowing that I am not beauty. I mean, I've lived with that my whole life. I had a beautiful sister. She, you know, it was funny. One of my, shortly after I met who I thought was my twin flame physically, I showed him a picture of my sister, and his eyes like bugged out of his head, and he wouldn't believe me that she was my sister, and he wasn't going to say it, but I knew exactly what he was thinking. She's beautiful. You're so plain. You're so ugly. It's not like he was a winner. But yet this is what our society does to us. And so, the thing is with this candidness is I have to be willing to come at you in my raw, unpolished state. And right now, this physical body is not well. Right now, it's healing. And it's not the image of beauty. You know, you just see my face. You don't see the rest of me. While I'm proud of myself in so many ways for being able to see certain parts that have just been covered by fat, being able to see muscle definition happening because I have been exercising. And it's amazing to see those things. But then, you know, I could also look at it and say, well, I see all this loose, baggy skin. Or I see all of these stretch marks, which are surprisingly getting darker from my last pregnancy. Well, because they're, well, lack of better words, just hanging out on my body now. No. The point I'm trying to tell you is I could be really self-conscious. And I want you to see this rawness in me, because our society does not allow for this rawness in somebody. I want you to see me as I am. You know, and that I'm walking into this fear, and this is exactly what you need to do. To get what you want in life, you have got to start to walk into your fear. You know, and my self-consciousness has been a huge barrier for so many things. And I honestly look at that as why perhaps I don't have what I want in my life. Why my life seems like it's just all messed up. It's all one big thing telling me, get yourself together. And stop allowing other people to tell you who you are. And I need to realize that I am a child of God. I am perfect. I was created perfect. It doesn't matter what circumstances are going on. It doesn't matter what decisions I've made, or, you know, none of that determines who I really am. Because everything is love. We are all love. Even in hate. Everything we view as judgment, and we put things into these classic categories of this is good, this is bad, or whatever. Honestly, it's all love. And so, I have to come to a state of realizing that no matter what it is about me, that just because I ate of that first fruit and got that knowledge of good and evil does not mean that I have wisdom. Because guess what? We never ate of that second fruit. We've got to find our way back into the garden. And this is, I think, what Jesus' process, or the thing of being born again means. You have to get back into the garden. And you have to eat of that second fruit. But guess what? You were born. You can't just go right back into the womb. Like Nicodemus said, well, I can't just, go back into my mom or something like that. You can't. So it's metaphorical. What does this really mean? So I look at this and who I am. Very polarized. Good, bad, judgmental. Light, dark, whatever. Whatever box I want to put something into. So if there was a second fruit, and let's just say it's the fruit of life, it's the fruit of wisdom. This means that despite having knowledge, does not mean I had wisdom. Does not mean I am Solomon. Does not mean that I could look at two women that are presenting me a baby and know who the mother was, based on the one that was willing to let the child live. Oddly, this is one thing I told my former lover. I said, I just want you to be happy. And if that's not with me, I can't make you stay with me. And even when he found his now fiancée, and I felt rended, I still wanted him to be happy. And this was the same as the mother that Solomon faced. She realized she wasn't going to live in such a state of selfishness as to kill her only child just because she wasn't allowed to have it, or because somebody else wanted to lay claim to it. So the Bible, what I've come to after all these years with this dark night of the soul, is that while Christianity has greatly misinterpreted things, does not mean that the message itself is wrong. And the Bible is full of a lot of wisdom that we could use to better understand who we are. And realistically, it could be used as a guide on this weird, odd little path that we call life. So, going forward, know that I do have a Christian core. But that really only means that I believe in God and Jesus. But yet, it's a core, because I have many beliefs. And this is one of the things I told them right before I left. I said, I have to learn to reconcile. I've been absent from God for so many years that I went through many different belief systems and found many different nuggets of truth. And I can't just throw all that away. So now it's my job to reconcile it all. To bring all that together into one thing. To make Christianity and those messages make sense alongside the messages of Buddha, or the messages of spiritual, Native American spirituality, paganism. All of that stuff has to be reconciled. And I'm gonna do it. That was the thing that got me really kicked out. Because I was saying that it's all true. All of it. That everyone just has a piece of the truth and we just have to get over ourselves long enough to listen. Well, apparently they didn't want to get over themselves. And they thought that they knew. I knew I didn't. And ironically, knowing I didn't is what started the dark night of my soul. It's what started this whole idea of soul loss and finding out who I really am. They got to stay content in their own little world. But I couldn't be content in that. And I had to fly. I had to find something that reconciled it all. And so that's what this birth pregnancy process is teaching me. 10:14. I'm going to end this video now. Bye. Love you.